The scariest part of this story isn't the ocean or the night sky. It's the silence that followed a routine goodnight from the cockpit, and the decade of questions that came after. A missing jet, phantom passengers, billionaires whispered about in late-night forums. This is Billionaires, a phantom passenger and the flight that never landed. The mystery of MH370, told only with verifiable facts, and the rumors we can finally put to rest. On March 8, 2014, just after midnight local time, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 rolled down the runway at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, bound for Beijing, a long, familiar route over the South China Sea. In the cockpit, a veteran captain and a younger first officer. In the cabin, 239 people, business travelers, families, students, crew. At 1:19 a.m., as the aircraft prepared to hand off from Malaysian to Vietnamese air traffic control, the co-pilot spoke 6 ordinary words. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Then the transponder went quiet. No distress call, no mayday, just silence. Within hours, search teams mobilized. At first, the South China Sea. Then, as radar reconstructions and satellite data arrived, the map shifted. We weren't looking northeast anymore. We were looking south into one of the most remote expanses of water on Earth. And from the beginning, 2 realities pulled against each other. Families needed answers. The data could only whisper. If you remember one thing about the evidence, let it be this. After the transponder stopped, the airplane's satellite terminal didn't. Roughly each hour, it exchanged tiny handshakes, pings, with an Inmarsat spacecraft. Each ping wasn't a GPS coordinate. It was more like a distance ring. Line those rings up, correct for Doppler, account for satellite motion, and you get the famous arcs. Those arcs do not tell you exactly where the plane was, but they tell you where it could have been. The southern 7th arc, late in the flight, points to the Indian Ocean. That's why the seabed west of Australia became the focus of the world's most complex search. Even the data's publishers warned, it's technical, easy to misunderstand. Analysts and independent researchers fought over every hertz of frequency offset, every second of burst timing. But taken together, radar returns, performance models, and those satellite logs, the scenario converged on a southern track and a likely end in the Indian Ocean. Until we find the wreckage, we can't be certain. But the weight of the evidence leans that way. Now, the phrase that launched 1,000 headlines, phantom passengers. In the first days, Interpol confirmed 2 people boarded MH370 using stolen passports, Austrian and Italian documents in its global database. That understandably triggered fear. Was this a hijacking? Within 48 hours, investigators identified both travelers as Iranian nationals and said there was no evidence linking them to terrorism. The phantoms were real people moving through a messy black market of documents, not invisible saboteurs. It's a grim reminder that in aviation crises, coincidence and criminality can look the same at first glance. Then the internet did what the internet does. A viral email claimed 4 engineers on MH370 shared a patent with Freescale Semiconductor and that their deaths would hand the patent to a billionaire. It sounds like a thriller, but the records don't support it. Patent rights don't pass that way, and there's no verified passenger list matching the claim. Fact-checkers labeled the story false. It's compelling because it gives a human villain to an inhuman mystery. But the evidence isn't there. If the satellite arcs told us where to look, the ocean tried to tell us when we missed it. Investigators used drift modeling, releasing virtual debris into computer oceans to predict landfalls months or years later. And debris consistent with a Boeing 777, including a flaperon, did wash up around the western Indian Ocean. That reinforced the southern hypothesis. But drift is probability, not proof of a precise dot on the map, and the seabed terrain down there is rugged. Massive sonar sweeps covered vast areas, but not all. As the ATSB wrote when it closed the formal search in 2017, the reasons for the loss of MH370 cannot be established with certainty until the aircraft is found. People ask, if this was a catastrophe, why didn't anyone call? In aviation, sudden failures can silence radios and transponders in seconds. But other scenarios, deliberate action, complex electrical problems, could also explain the silence. The official position remains careful. With no recorders or wreckage, we can't say. Annex 13 investigations are designed to prevent future accidents, not assign blame without evidence. That's why the 2018 report is measured, sometimes frustratingly so. It's science holding the line against speculation. Behind every debate about Doppler and drift is a family waiting. Many still campaign for the search to resume, especially when new proposals or refined models surface. And occasionally, officials signal openness if a new plan convincingly narrows the target. Until then, this mystery sits at the edge of what technology can do and what patience can bear. So what can we say clearly today? The billionaire-patent story is debunked. It is not supported by passenger records or how patents work. The phantom passengers were 2 travelers using stolen passports. Interpol identified them and said there's no terror link. The Inmarsat handshake data, radar, and performance models point to a final arc over the Indian Ocean. The large-scale ATSB search narrowed, but did not find the impact site. Mysteries don't ask our permission. They arrive, they take, and they leave gaps that facts alone can't fill. Yet, until the ocean gives up its last secret, we owe MH370 a promise. No shortcuts, no convenient villains, and no giving up on the truth. If you want the next chapter, the science of a renewed search, subscribe and tell us the one question you want answered most. This is Unsolved Plus. We investigate with empathy, and we always start with the evidence.